There is a terrifying truth about the human mind that most people will spend their entire lives running away from. It's a glitch in our psychological software, a paradox that states the more you pursue a feeling, the further it retreats. Think about it. Have you ever noticed that the harder you try to fall asleep, the more awake you feel? Or the more you desperately need someone to like you, the more they seem to drift away? In 2026, we are told to chase everything. Chase the career, chase the aesthetic, chase the perfect life. But what if I told you that this very chasing is the reason you feel empty? What if the secret to getting everything you've ever wanted was to finally, once and for all, stop trying to get it? This isn't just self-help fluff. This is a law of the universe. And to prove it to you, we have to go back to 1942, to a place where happiness was a death sentence and survival was a mathematical impossibility. This is the story of how a man lost everything, only to discover the one thing no one can ever take away. Viktor Frankl was a man who had arrived. He was a prominent psychiatrist in Vienna, a man of science, a man of status. He had a beautiful wife, a child on the way, and a manuscript that he believed would change the world of psychology. But Frankl lived in a time of monsters. Because he was Jewish, the walls began to close in. He had a chance to escape. A visa to America sat on his desk. He could have lived a life of luxury and safety, but he stayed to care for his elderly parents. In a heartbeat, the life he chased was gone. In 1942, Frankl and his family were arrested. His father died of starvation. His mother was sent to the gas chambers. His wife was separated from him, her fate unknown. Frankl was no longer a doctor. He was no longer a husband. He was no longer even a person. He was a number, 119104. At this point, Frankl was at the absolute zero of human existence, and it was here, in the mud of the Auschwitz concentration camp, that he began to observe a strange psychological phenomenon. He saw two types of men. The first type were the chasers. They were the ones who clung desperately to the hope that it would end by a certain date. "We'll be out by Christmas," they would say. The second type were those who seemed to have given up on happiness entirely. And strangely, it was the second group that survived. As the winter of 1944 set in, the chasers began to die. Not just from the hunger or the cold, but from something the camp doctors called give-up-itis. When Christmas came and went and the gates didn't open, their hope turned into a poison. They had staked their entire psychological well-being on an outcome they couldn't control. When the outcome didn't happen, their immune systems literally shut down. They died of a broken spirit before their bodies gave out. This is the dark side of the backwards law. To expect is to suffer. Frankl watched this and realized he had to do something different. He had his manuscript, his life's work, sewn into the lining of his coat when he arrived. It was his reason for living, but a guard discovered it and tore it to shreds. In that moment, Frankl had nothing left to chase. No family, no career, no legacy. He was standing in the snow, shivering, waiting for death. But then, the paradox kicked in. Instead of fighting the cold, instead of cursing the guards, Frankl did something radical. He accepted his fate. He decided that if he was going to suffer, he would suffer with purpose. He began to imagine himself standing on a stage in a warm, brightly lit lecture hall after the war. He imagined himself telling an audience about the psychology of the camps. By looking his suffering in the eye and inviting it in as a teacher, the suffering stopped being so painful. he realized the backwards law in real time. The more you accept the pain, the less it hurts. The more you chase the pleasure, the more it eludes you.
He started giving his meager bread rations to others. He spent his nights whispering words of encouragement to men who had lost everything. In the most hellish place on earth, Frankl found a strange sense of peace. Why? Because he stopped asking, "What does life owe me?" and started asking, "What does life ask of me right now?" When the war finally ended, Frankl returned to Vienna. He learned the crushing news that his wife and his entire family had been killed. He was truly alone. But he didn't collapse. He wrote his masterpiece, Man's Search for Meaning, in just 9 days. It became one of the most influential books of the 20th century. He had discovered a psychological truth that we have forgotten in our modern, hyper-connected world: the law of reversed effort. We think that if we just get the right job, the right amount of money, or the right person, we will finally be happy. But happiness is a byproduct. It is a shadow. If you try to catch your shadow, you will run forever and never touch it. But if you walk toward the light, if you walk toward meaning and responsibility, your shadow follows you without you even trying. If you want to apply Frankl's wisdom and the backwards law to your life today, you must accept 3 things. 1. Stop chasing certainty. Life is chaotic. The more you try to control it, the more anxious you will feel. Control the effort. Let go of the result. 2. Accept the struggle. The good life isn't a life without problems. It's a life with better problems. Stop trying to find a way out of the struggle and start finding a struggle that is worth having. And 3, the paradox of choice. The more options you think you need, the less satisfied you will be with the one you choose. True freedom comes from commitment, not from keeping your options open. Viktor Frankl lived to be 92 years old. He spent his life teaching people that we are not the victims of our circumstances, but the architects of our responses. The next time you feel overwhelmed, the next time you feel like you aren't successful enough or happy enough, remember the backwards law. Stop running. Stand still. Look at your life exactly as it is, with all its flaws and all its pain, and say, "I accept this." The moment you stop fighting the current is the moment you finally start to float. So, what are you still chasing? And what would happen if you just let it go? If this story moved you, share it with someone who is struggling right now. And if you want to dive deeper into the philosophy of the greats, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.